All right, the left and the right, there's many things we don't agree on, but the one thing that we can agree on is that conducting experiments on animals is absolutely cruel and it shouldn't be funded by American taxpayers. It's something that on this show we talk about quite often, and we're going to continue to talk about because obviously, folks, we should stop this immediately. The Trump administration, they're still setting in and they still have a lot to figure out and sift through. And the DOD is doing just that. But we've just uncovered, and by we, I mean Laura Loomer and White Coat Waste, not me, of course. But they've just uncovered a lot of your money going towards these experiments still. The DoD is funding dozens of experiments on animals, including those at the University of Pittsburgh. And Laura Loomer is all over it. She just recently uncovered a $10 million fund that's going towards more experiments on beagles and cats and things that you don't want your money to go towards. Joining me right now to kind of dissect all of this is Justin Goodman. He's a senior VP of White Coat Waste, and he joins us now. Justin, I want to thank you for being here. You and Loomer have been doing an incredible job at going through all of this and calling it out. So thank you for that. We're big fans of Laura Loomer and all that she's done especially over these last few weeks. I mean, that is a very, very busy woman. But let's dive into this because many are celebrating that the Trump administration is committed to stopping all of this from continuing to go on. But we just recently learned, thanks to Loomer, that the Department of Defense is still using our money to fund these experiments. So tell us a little bit about this.
All right. And yeah, thanks. It's always great to be here. Thanks for your support over the years of these campaigns to find, expose, and defund wasteful government animal experiments. A lot of people don't realize that the US government is the single largest funder of animal experimentation in the world. $20 billion a year being wasted by agencies like the DoD, like the NIH, on cruel and unnecessary animal experiments. Here's the good news. The good news is that White Coat Waste worked with the first Trump administration to make historic progress to end animal experiments, shut down the USDA's largest cat lab, the government's largest cat lab that was at the USDA, adopted out a couple dozen cats from there, including a couple who went to live with our president, Anthony Bellotti, shut down the FDA's nicotine tests on monkeys, retired those animals to a sanctuary, ended the VA's dog and cat testing, and of course, shut down funding for the Wuhan lab. The Trump administration has picked up where it left off in some ways. They've cut all these transgender animal experiments that White Coat Waste exposed. They've started to cut off labs in China. But as you have just been discussing, we have uncovered that both the DoD and the NIH have been renewing funding actually for some of these cruel animal labs that were signed off on and approved and initiated by people like Dr. Fauci. So the DoD lab that you're describing here is at the University of Pittsburgh. They've received $10 million. That project was just renewed. And in those experiments, they take condoms and marbles and shove them up cats' butts and then electroshock them for erectile dysfunction and constipation experiments. And that's a project, again, that was just renewed by the DoD under the Trump administration. Another DoD project that we exposed and have been working with Laura Loomer to end is an NIH DoD joint. It's a collab there where they're shipping tax dollars to China, to a Chinese lab, to abuse 300 beagles a week. You got right on the screen there. That's the contract. 300 beagles a week in experimental drug tests in China. So despite what happened in Wuhan, the DoD and the NIH are still shipping tax dollars to animal testing labs in China. And actually, the NIH has a list of 20, as of this morning, 20 animal testing labs in China that are still eligible for taxpayer dollars. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we're pleased with the progress we've been making. Again, the Trump administration made historic progress on this issue. They are still getting their bearings, but we do want them to do more. These are projects and programs and government waste that is easy to isolate and eliminate. We have sent DOGE and these agencies billions and billions of dollars of line items to cut at the NIH, DoD, USDA, and other agencies. So we've made it easy as possible. We've even offered to help retire and rehome any animals who are still alive in these labs when they get shut down.
It's so heartbreaking that we have to plead our case on this because this is something that I feel like is common sense and there's really no need for it. But Justin, I mean, you would know better than anyone, so this is really your area of focus. What is the purpose for these animal experiments? Is there really a purpose at all? Does it serve the American people? any type of is there any benefit to it? I guess I should say, because it just doesn't seem like there is.
No, absolutely not. And when you look at some of the projects the NIH is currently funding that they've recently renewed things like injecting puppies with cocaine and fentanyl,
Ugh.
infesting puppies, a Fauci-funded project that just got renewed where they're infesting puppies with ticks in maximum pain experiments, hundreds of puppies with ticks in maximum pain experiments where no pain relief is provided at all. Obviously, these are absurd, wasteful, and cruel. And you have, fortunately, the heads of our public health agencies, RFK Jr., Dr. Marty Makary at the FDA, and Jay Bhattacharya at the NIH. These guys are all on the record for years, not only supporting White Coat Waste's work, but criticizing animal experimentation as cruel and wasteful. And now these guys are in the driver's seat. They have the reins, and we don't need an executive order. We don't need legislation from Congress. With the stroke of a pen, RFK, Marty Makary, and Jay Bhattacharya, and Secretary Pete Hegseth over at DoD can simply start slashing these programs. We don't need long reviews. We don't need more bureaucracy. We don't need more spending. We don't need to set up new offices to review whether we should be funding this stuff or not. Just go in and cut. That's what the Trump administration promised us. We know that's what Donald Trump wants to see, slashing and burning at agencies like the NIH that still have Fauci's fingerprints all over them. So let's clean up the mess that the Biden administration left, start cutting these animal tests, saving millions of animals, billions of dollars. It's a win-win.
Yeah, and Justin, I wanted to ask you before you go, I wanted to ask you specifically if you've seen a difference between the Trump administration, because you've seen obviously the first term and now the second, and the Biden regime, because it sounds like to me that the Trump administration was more willing the first time around to shut this down, but then the next administration that rolled in just kicked it all back up again. But what has that been like for you all at the White Coat Waste Project to kind of dig into all of this? What's that been like?
Yeah, great question. So I've been doing this work full time for the last 20 years. So I've lived through, seen, worked through a lot of different administrations, Democrat, Republican. By far, the first Trump administration was the best administration in American history in terms of cutting wasteful animal experiments, putting lab animal retirement policies in place, things that had never been done before. The Trump EPA, our friend Andrew Wheeler, who is now one of our volunteer advisors, was the head of the EPA. He put a plan in place in 2019 to completely eliminate animal testing at the EPA by 2035, with a 30% reduction by 2025 this year. Unfortunately, weeks after Wheeler and Trump left the White House in 2021, the Biden administration completely killed that plan to phase out animal testing at the EPA by 2035 because they were being pressured not only by career bureaucrats inside the NIH, but environmental groups said, you better kill this Trump plan to end animal testing because we want more animal testing. This is not exaggeration. They sent a letter. We want more animal testing because of environmental justice reasons. To protect vulnerable communities, we want more animal testing. And they specifically said, get rid of the Trump plan to eliminate it. We also saw Fauci trying to start up some of the USDA's cat experiments over at the NIH and port them over there. And after Trump ended cat testing at the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Secretary of the VA under Biden, Dennis McDonough, personally signed off on trying to restart cat testing at the VA. So we spent a lot of time, unfortunately, under the Biden administration fighting new spending on animal testing that was being proposed, but also just trying to preserve the cuts that happened under the first Trump administration. So there was some offense, but there was a lot of defense just trying to keep in place some of the good stuff that happened under Trump 45. But we're glad we seem to be picking up where we left off with Trump in the early 2021, seeing labs cut. But we definitely want to see more. They can be doing more. This is an easy win that's going to, everyone's going to be excited about. Liberty lovers, animal lovers, vegetarians, libertarians. There's something for everyone here. And it's going to clean up the government. It's going to erase the legacy of people like Anthony Fauci, and it's going to save some kittens and puppies.
And who doesn't love kittens and puppies? I know I joked with you previously, but like I test things on myself before I give it to my dogs. I would never want my dogs to be subjected to any of that. So I can't imagine why anyone else would do it. I can't even, the scientists involved in all of this, I mean, they should be ashamed of themselves for just having to pretend like this is beneficial for the rest of us because it's not. And I would like to see the Trump administration push Congress to, instead of just doing executive orders, which obviously gets overturned by the next administration if it's possibly Democrats, to make sure that they put this and laminate it into law, because that's exactly what needs to happen here. So we'll help you apply some pressure to that one, and I'll definitely be reaching out for comment. Justin, I want to thank you for all the great work you guys are doing, the great work that Laura Loomer's doing on this, because this is really an important issue. So thank you. All right, this show wouldn't be possible without people like you at home. I couldn't be an investigative journalist and doing this independently if I didn't have donors. I strongly rely on your support, and if you're looking to jump on and support this program and all of my work as an independent journalist, you can head on over to independentnewsroom.com. We've made it a one-stop website where you could donate directly to this show. We've got a donations tab up right now, and you get to pick the dollar amount. You can make it a one-time donation or a monthly donation. It's completely up to you. So head on over to independentnewsroom.com. Figure out what you're looking to do, because folks, we love when you do the monthly donations. It significantly helps me out. Of course, it gives me a lot room to kind of predict what I could start working on for the next month, to figure out what spending is. So we're grateful for that. We're also very grateful for the one-time donations, and you get to pick the dollar amount. So head on over right now to independentnewsroom.com. That's independentnewsroom.com. That is how we keep this show and my work as an independent journalist up and running. independentnewsroom.com.